It's been around 6 months since the release of the Resident Evil 4 Remake, and we now officially have the highly anticipated Separate Ways DLC. Now, I consider myself to be a pretty big Resident Evil fan, however, today I stand before you with great shame, especially because this is coming from someone who has played the original Resident Evil 4 many times, but I've never actually played the original Separate Ways. And right now you're probably thinking of doing this to me. I did just finish this new version though, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that this might be the best DLC I've ever played. First of all, playing this expansion is more like diving into an entirely new Resident Evil game. It's just a very fleshed out experience from start to finish, and if you're not rushing through it, finishing could take you just about 4 to 5 hours, which I think is pretty long for an expansion. Especially when you consider that the entire Resident Evil 3 remake was just about 6 hours in total. And I think you'll find that the hours of playtime that you get here are definitely not put to waste, because there is just a lot of high quality content here. So let's start off by talking about the star of the show. Sexy super spy Ada. This DLC is played entirely from her perspective, and all of the story here takes place during the events of the original game, so you basically get to see what Ada's been up to during that time.
Having a bad day?
Wesker, to what do I owe this pleasure?
And overall, Ada is just a very fun character to play. One of the best new additions that come with her character is definitely her grappling hook, and you know, when it comes to the way that both Leon and Ada play, there isn't that big of a difference, but this grappling hook really changes things up in a very fun way. You can now grapple enemies from afar and launch yourself towards them. You can take away enemy shields to give yourself an advantage in combat. And aside from that, you can also shoot yourself into buildings or use the grappling hook to get out of a hairy situation. And all of these things combined just make for very exciting and more action-oriented gameplay. I also really like the new music in this DLC, and I think it really adds a lot to the whole experience. Also, to be completely honest, I might actually prefer playing Ada over Leon. Everything she does here just looks very flashy and completely badass, and it just feels and looks very satisfying, even if we're just talking about the different animations. As for the story, I think they did a great job at tying everything together, and seeing a completely different side from both Ada and Louise is definitely a nice addition.
Your favorite, I believe?
Excellent timing, Ada. You know how I feel about being tied up.
I also didn't expect to like their relationship as much as I did, nor did I expect to end up liking Louise more than ever before. And I think that's because I never really connected with Louise's character all that much in the first place, but they added more depth to both Ada and Louise, and it just really made me care more about the characters. And seeing their personal goals and struggles become more clear is something that you definitely shouldn't miss if you're a fan of this game. I also really liked what they did with one of the old characters from the original game, U3. You know, this gross looking scorpion guy who was apparently a mixture of 3 different things. Yeah, I really liked how they weaved him into the story and just completely changed everything about him. It's just done really well. As for the level design, you are obviously going to find yourself in some familiar territory. You know, it's still the same map as the original game, but they definitely changed it up enough to keep things fresh. And I think they make some very smart use of places that you've visited before, especially because of the grappling hook and the way you use it to traverse through the levels. Aside from this though, there are also quite a lot of completely new places that you've never seen before, and everything just ties together perfectly. And if, like me, you were disappointed by the fact that the Resident Evil 4 remake was missing some other really cool moments from the original game, I'm happy to tell you that they were saving all of that for this DLC. They even brought back one of my favorite things in all of gaming. The laser room.
Lasers. Better watch out.
And to be completely honest, seeing Ada go through the laser room pretty much just turned me into a giggling schoolgirl. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And overall, a decent amount of things from the old game have been worked in here as well. Wesker also got a lot more screen time than I initially thought he would, and I think he adds a nice extra layer to the story. They also really doubled down on the fact that Ada is supposed to be a super spy, and she now actually has some kind of cyborg robotic eye that she uses to scan the environment and look for footprints and fingerprints. It's just amazing stuff. And they even add in some music that sounds like it's coming straight out of a James Bond movie. Of course, you've also got some new weapons like the blast crossbow that shoots explosive arrows. And this new shotgun. This DLC is just as good as it gets. And Capcom has really been on a roll lately. I can't wait to see what they do next, but I have a lot of faith in the future of the franchise.
Gotta keep the client happy.